What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV with your host here, Dano, giving you the best content you're going to find on the internet. I'm so excited for you to be here today, and I know the Eagles game is on right now, so you already know I'm repping with my hat and I'm repping with my gear right now. So please give me updates on what's going on with the score, how we're looking, because we really need to beat the Commanders. This is a really big game. I'm excited to know that we're playing at the same time. So I need you to give me some real time updates as to what's going on with everything as well. And I already see comments. Lou says, let's go. He's ready to go. He's ready for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. And I know he's ready for the game as well because he's watching it right now. But if you're here, if you're watching here for the first time or you're watching on the replay as a seasoned member of the Positivity Posse like Lou is, or if this is your first time, we have a very great episode in store for you tonight. Just to give you a little bit of an overview, this is what we're going to be talking about for today. We have, some of the topics for tonight is going to be reframing your thoughts, taking action to improve your mood, building self-acceptance, and mood-boosting techniques. And I wanted to do this tonight for, many different reasons. I know with the results of a certain I'll just say the results of the election has kind of skewed people's minds, and some people are feeling good and some people are feeling bad, and even if it's not that, it can be anything that's going on in your life that I might know about or I might not know about. And I wanted to have this because now more than ever there have been so many great things that have come up in my life that have helped me move forward in my progress and my path of happiness as well. And I know recently we just released our book launch. It was actually on Monday on 11/11. It was My Good Juju, The Weird and Wonderful Within. And my chapter is in here as well. So I just wanted to show everybody that the book has come in. Let me put this down really quick. Yep, my copy has come in. I don't know if you can see it because of the lights acting a little bit funny right now. But yeah, here it is, everybody. I am chapter number 7. And if you haven't gotten your copy, make sure you go get your copy as well. I'll be sure to put the link inside the comments as well. But this is a really good feeling. Like, I did not expect to feel how great I did when this came out. Honestly, I was just like, I was kind of underplaying everything. I was like, oh, well, it's just only a chapter, or it's just, something that I put together, and I didn't really, I was just constantly finding ways to discredit myself. And I'm so happy that I've had a great support system in place with my Positivity Posse to make sure that I understand the severity and how great this accomplishment is. So thank you to all out there. It wouldn't be possible without you helping me see the victory that was achieved here, and also in the path, or on the path along the way, all of your positive advice, all of your guidance, and showing up every single week. That has obviously pushed me, propelled me to be the best version of myself, so I can come and serve you guys to be the best version of yourselves. And since we're constantly pouring into each other, I just appreciate my Positivity Posse, you guys, just so much. You have no idea. So thank you for that as well. I appreciate everything that you have done for me. So Lou says his copy is on the way. I'm so excited to hear that. Well, when you go to open it, you might just want to go to chapter numbers. Obviously, every author that's in here has contributed their message and their positive feeling in a different way. But if you want to hear and read about mine, you're going to want to flip to page number, sorry, not page number, chapter number 7. And just to let you know, I just want to give you a little bit of what you can expect. Here is the back page. There's me, jumping out and looking real, nice and fancy in front of everybody. But just to give you a quick preview, mine was about, my chapter was about, the role and how we assign meaning to everything that happens in our lives, right? When I think I mentioned this last week, but I know, like, if you have a great event that happens, like a birth in a new member to the family, right? Or if you have a wedding, or if you just got a new job opportunity, a lot of people associate and put positive meaning on that. But when something happens that, in a way it doesn't that they prefer it to, then they associate a negative meaning with that. But remember, ultimately, whatever happens in your life is what you decide what it's going to be, and you extract whatever information or whatever good feelings that you get from it. You are possible to get that from anything that happens in your life as well. So thank you, Lou. I'm so excited to hear that you got your copy as well. I'm super excited to actually receive mine. It's still kind of like still taking time to set in, and also I think I mentioned to you guys that I'm coming out with another journal later on this year. So that is like, not taking away some attention, but it's like I'm still working on that as well. So like this is great. And I can't wait to provide you guys with the journal that's coming out as well. Lou says right here, got the Eagles on mute, watching my guy first and foremost. We appreciate that here on Weekly Dose of Dano, giving you the best content. And that's why you already know who you're going to stick with as well. So let me know. You got to keep an eye on it because I still want to know what's going on along the way. But now, I think now is a perfect time to get started, right? Now is better than any other time to get started with today's episode. And yeah, this is going to be a lot. A lot of like golden nuggets that I'm going to give you guys because I don't like when I'm looking on social media or I'm talking to somebody and they're like, oh well, yeah, just feel this, just feel good all the time. Like, all right, well, no offense or no shit. Of course, I would want to do that all the time. But not everybody teaches you how to think. So that's why I wanted to have this episode for you guys today, so you can see kind of the logic and the reasoning that goes behind it while practicing your positive, attributes or positive, or practicing your positive techniques or strategies or whatever it is. We're going to dive a little bit into why this stuff works instead of just saying, hey, feel good. All right, because I want to leave you guys with this. All right, so let's start with the first segment for today. And as you can see here, it's about reframing your thoughts. So I know a lot of the time when it comes to our thoughts, really isn't what's true in this world, right? I know a lot of people think that if they think a thought, whatever thought that they're thinking, it must be true, right? So if you believe, if you think that you're an idiot or you think that you're a genius, no matter what it is, you tend to think, or we tend to think that that's truth. But I'm here to tell you and honestly disprove that and to get that out of your mind because that's not true. The thoughts that come up into your mind are all not true, right? Think about how many times, I know I used to do this in school a lot, so this is a good example. Like if somebody were to come in and start, causing ruckus or like, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like how would I react to it? Or you can put that in anything, right? If you're on the train, if somebody were to come up here right now and start to try some crazy stuff, what would I do in order to, escape the situation or to help the situation? And with those thoughts that happen into your mind, whether they're on the extreme or they're not, those thoughts prove to you that the things that are happening inside of your head and the thoughts that you are thinking are not true, right? Could you imagine if every time we thought a thought, or I think I'm saying that right? Thought a thought, but anyway, imagine if every time that something that popped into your head ended up actually being true. Um, our lives would be a lot, a lot different than what we are right now. We'd be manifesting things that we don't want to manifest, and things wouldn't be as linear as we're living our lives to be. So that's how and that's just further proof that we have to reframe our thoughts because they're not true. So like I said, with this, our thoughts shape our emotions, and ultimately this determines our mood. So if you are finding yourself consistently in a place that you're not at the highest and greatest moods, you have to take a look at what you are thinking in order to get to that point, right? Because whatever your mood is, it just doesn't suddenly happen like that. It takes a gradual amount of time in order to get to that point, right? Nobody just automatically becomes pissed off or nobody becomes absolutely elated just like that. It happens through a series of thoughts, and the timeline may happen a lot quicker than what you think. Like, yes, it's possible to get some good news and then you become elated in, just a few seconds. But you have to think about all the thoughts that are coming along and associated with that mood. So, in order to reframe our thoughts, this is the first tip that I want to give to you guys is you need to recognize what mood you're in. I know it still does happen kind of from time to time because I'll try to forget, but have you ever experienced this where you're kind of just going through life and you're like, damn, like I'm pissed off, but I don't even know why it is that I'm so angry right now. And then once you go to reflect a little bit in your mind, you're like, oh, well, that's why I'm mad. It's because this has happened. It's so interesting that when it comes to that scenario specifically, like we only start to review our moods when we're in negative mind spaces. But what about the positive ones as well? We don't really take the time to be appreciative or to recognize when we're in happy moods because we think that it's just automatically what it's supposed to be. It is automatically supposed to be that way if you have tuned yourself and you have trained yourself to think that way. But if we haven't been practicing our, techniques or our positive mental gymnastics, if you want to call them that, or our positive mental reps, then we're just going to go and not really understand what it takes to be at that mood and that point of happiness at all times. So the best thing to do is to recognize what mood you're in, because I know some people, they're oblivious, right? They don't have that awareness, whether it's self-awareness or awareness of the thoughts that they're thinking. That's why you're going to hear later on in the episode, but meditation is one of the best things that I think it's the best thing that you can do in order to enhance your awareness and in order to go kind of deeper within yourself to understand what's going on inside of yourself. And it's kind of like if you have a computer that you're talking to or a camera, what do you have to do when things aren't going right? You have to go into the computer, you have to disassemble everything, take a look around to see what's going on and what's going right and what's going wrong. And that's when you're able to make the changes. The same thing if you want to substitute that idea or that analogy from a computer to a car, then that still works as well. You got to get under the hood. You got to see where things aren't going right. You got to fix it. And then you'll be able to go, operate and cruise at that normal level that you are at or where you're supposed to be, which everybody wants to achieve. And that mood would be happiness as well. So we have to recognize when we are, it's so funny that you say this little by little. That is one of the techniques and one of the things that we're going to be talking about later on in the episode is you have to take it piece by piece and do it little by little. I just to show you that I think it's in the third segment that we're going to be talking about this. Somewhere in here. I have it somewhere, but yeah, I agree with you 1000%. You do need to take it small by, oh, here it is. This is later on in the episode, but like I said, we're going to be talking about breaking it down. It's like you said, you got to do and starting small. That's for the second segment, but let's go back to this one. It's just interesting that you say that because that means you're on point and you know what it takes in order to really, really make sure we're vibrating and that we're experiencing happiness every single day. So yeah. So like I said, in order to reframe our thoughts, the first tip was to recognize your mood. But number two, you need to focus your thoughts, right? If you are at that mood of happiness and peace, then that's great. What you need to do is stay on that path that you're at and focus on those high flying, vibrational thoughts that you are thinking of. Like, a lot of people think about this on vacation, right? They think about when they're on their vacation, they're having a good time. They're not really worried about anything. And all of their attention and energy is in the present moment and feeling good in the moment. And you can experience that feeling of being on vacation and the gratitude and the happiness that comes with it every single day. But you just need to, like right here, it says you need to focus on making that a point in your everyday life and focusing on that as well. So, like I said, it's easy to talk about this stuff, but I'm going to give you two strategies right now to make sure you are implementing it in your own life. And here it is. Number one, you need to write down your thoughts. I believe I can't remember the exact stat that it is, and I'm going to look it up for you guys right now while we're here on the show. How many thoughts do we think in a day? I'm going to look that up for us right now because I believe the number is over 2,000. So if you're not aware of the thoughts that you're thinking and you're not writing them down, it's going to be impossible to pinpoint if you're thinking good for most of the day or if you're not thinking so great for most of the day. Let's see. How many thoughts do humans think a day? I want to share this with you guys too. Okay, so I was a little bit wrong. I said 2,000, but it's way more than that. So I'm going to share the screen with you guys. And here we go. So it says right here, according to AI, which I don't even know if I don't like the AI. Let's not do that one. I don't trust it. So we're going to do this. It says right here, according to research, the average person has approximately 60,000. Oh, wait, let me zoom in for you guys. All right, hopefully you can see that a little bit better. But it says, according to research, the average person has approximately 60,000 thoughts per day. But what is truly concerning is that 75% of these thoughts are negative and 95% are repetitive. Many of our thoughts are driven by the fight or flight path to our brain. So that is so interesting. It even went further to tell us about 75% of these thoughts are negative. Yo, that's wild. So what's 75% of, well, I know 50% of 60,000 is 30,000. So if we add another quarter to that, 15, 30, 45, 60. So it's about 45,000. 45,000 negative thoughts a day. Could you imagine that? And if we're not being conscious of it and we're not focusing on what those repetitive thoughts are specifically, because like you see right here, it says 95% are repetitive. We're doomed to repeat these same things over and over again because we won't even know that they're happening. And I know when it comes to the repetitive thoughts, let me take this away real quick. Yeah, well, let me stop sharing because you see it right there. But if we're not being conscious of it, we won't know how to tackle this problem. And I know when it comes to finances, a lot of people think the same thoughts over and over again, right? I don't have enough money, or, I can't afford this, or whatever it is, that it's false, it's not true. You are just constantly repeating that false belief system and those false thoughts. And then you're actually giving it power, which makes it seem real. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, there's something called the self-fulfilling prophecy. So that if you say that you don't have enough money in this world, then the world is just going to give you more of that. And then you're like, see, I told you. Well, the reason that it's happening is because you called that it will happen into your life. So it's very important that we actually write down our thoughts, because if we're not aware of it, we're doomed to repeat it no matter what. So yeah, that's so interesting. I didn't know it was that severe. And that's just, one little study too. It can be, more thoughts, less thoughts, whatever. But ultimately, you get the main point at hand. So there it is. Just make sure that you're writing down your thoughts. It's so important. I keep a journal with me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't use it every single day, but I do like to use it from time to time. And here it is. Well, there goes my keyboard. But here it is. This is some of the things that I use in order to really see how my day is going, or to see where I can improve on different areas of my life. So I am practicing what I'm preaching. I promise y'all. But it's just about actually taking the time to do it and to make sure that's happening. So the second strategy I want to share with you guys is make sure you're balancing your self-talk. Have you guys, and I know this happens from time to time where these start to creep up. Let's use that example of being on vacation, or if you're hanging out with a group of friends and everything is going great. There'll be those few select thoughts that will creep in that say, damn, like, I'm starting to, I don't really like what this person's saying, or are these people talking about me? Or, I should really be home right now because I don't deserve to be here. Or those thoughts will start to creep up. And those thoughts are interesting because in that case, you are staying at a high vibration and you're at that place of love and fun and acceptance. But then the negative side starts to try to creep in and balance you. Well, not balance you, but it tries to bring you down to achieve some sort of balance, right? A lot of people don't do that in the opposite way. Most of the time, they're vibrating down here, and when the positive thoughts do start to come in, they don't really start to stay at the they don't really try to pull themselves out of it. So it's really important that we balance whatever it is that we're going on. And I like balance. I mean, it's great from time to time. That's the part of life. Like, it's not always going to be all greats and all lows, but we need to practice how to get out of ourselves out of those negative thoughts and those negative vibrations as well. And I just want to share this with you because, as you all know, I feel like I share this like once every other week. But here's the emotional vibration chart. So most of the time, like I said, I like to see myself as, vibrating here at that joy and that love and that reason. So if you're not there, you have to do what you have to do. Write it down. Focus on your thoughts. All the things that I just mentioned to make sure that you're bringing yourself up this vibrational chart as well. So we're going to hear a word from our first sponsor, and that was the first segment. So just to give you a little bit of a preview of what's going to go on for the second segment, we're going to be talking about this right here, which is taking action to improve your mood, because a lot of people, they think that they have to wait for the right moment or the right feelings in order to take out or in order to take action in their own lives. But as we all know, we will sit there and wallow in those negative feelings. And if we actually wait for that good mood to come in to perform an action, it'll never come. So we're going to dive deeper into that after a word from our first sponsor, and we'll be right back after a word from Great Success. And we're going to jump right into the second segment after a word from our sponsor.
At Great Success, it's our job to make sure that your child succeeds in school regardless of the subject or grade level. Our tutors are trained professionals who know how to promote learning and encourage results. Whether you are looking for help with SAT, ACT prep, private and group tutoring, K through 3 reading programs for your child, or educational consulting and college counseling, here at Great Success, we can help you find the right answer. Visit greatsuccess.com to learn more about our in-person and online program options. Great Success, where your child's success is our business.
So there it is, everybody. A word from our sponsor, Great Success. Thank you. Big shout out to Great Success for sponsoring Weekly Dose of Dano TV. We appreciate you making this content possible and to reinvesting into the Positivity Posse. So big, to the Positivity Posse, if you're watching this and you know somebody that needs some extra help in school, or it might be your own child, please reach out to Great Success so they can help you out and discover how they can help your child thrive even further in the school system as well. So thank you everybody as well for being here. Like I said, if you're watching live or on the replay, we appreciate you so much here on Weekly Dose of Dano TV. So maybe you're just tuning in right now. One more time, this is what we're going to be talking about for the second segment. And here it is taking action to improve mood. I don't know what's going on, if there's like a bug that's near me, but my ear keeps itching. I noticed that I keep, playing with them. So ignore that. But there it is. Let's talk about this second segment for today, and it's how to improve our mood. Please don't wait until you feel good to take some action, because it's kind of a paradox, right? Because if we just sit there and we wait until that good action comes along, then it'll never come along. But in order to feel better, we need to take some kind of action. So that's why it's so important. And a big thing that people think about is they think that they need to find the motivation first in order to take that action. But it's backwards. Like, yes, you can feel motivated to do something, and when it comes to inspired action, that's when you can start feeling inspired and going through your life through the greatest and highest excitement. But in order to generate that extra feeling good and that motivation, you need to take an action first. So make sure you understand that, because it's harder to really find that good inspiring moods if you don't take any action. So here it is. Here's my two thoughts for you guys as well. We have Jeanette here with the Positivity Posse, looking good like an Eagles coach. Well, I don't know. Tell me what the score is, guys. I actually have no idea what's going on over there. But yeah, shit. If they want to hire me, I can whip these players into shape. I can help them. I can coach them with their mental attitudes in order to have that mindset of a champion. So if any of the Eagles coaches are watching right there, hey, we could talk about that at a later time. But yeah. So here it is. Like I said, let me just go back to these banners over here, and here it is. Yeah, so make sure that you're taking that action to why do I feel like all this stuff's messed up now? All right, let's go on to the next one. Don't wait until you feel good. So here it is. If you don't know how to take your first action and everything seems too big to you, please make sure that you're starting small. If you want to, conquer Mount Everest, it's going to take, some training and some practice in order to do it. And the same thing if you want to run, a physical like a marathon, or if you want to run a 5K, you have to train and to get to that point. So make sure that you are taking it piece by piece, because number one, this is going to increase your confidence to know what you can do, and it'll inspire that motivation. And number two, it'll show you where your weak points are so you can use that to improve on it, right? So if you want to lift 315 pounds, but every time, let's say, like, let's use that as an example. Let's say if you want to bench press 315 pounds, but every time you go underneath the bench press and you're at 225 and you feel that your grip strength is a little messed up or it can be improved on, well, that's when you're going to work on some other things in the gym to help you with your grip strength, that'll help you with your road and your journey to lifting 315. So, like I said, when you start small, it helps you understand where you may be lacking and where you can improve on as well. So, like I said, in order to improve your mood or to take action specifically to improve your mood, here's the second tip that I want to give to you guys, and it's to break it down. And I think this is the one that Lou said earlier as well. I got two of the 7-0 Commanders, but we're driving. Okay, I like to hear that. I don't like to hear this 7-0 Commanders. And it's funny how you can, like something as small as this is a great example of, like Lou said, but we're driving. The score may be 7-0, but he put the positive spin on it, versus this one says 7-0 Commanders. But I appreciate you guys letting me know the score. And I know Lou said right here, he said little by little. And let's take this and talk about tip number 2 right here, is to break it down. Of course, when you start to break these things down, you can develop a further stamina or a higher stamina to increase your goals. So if you find that specifically in the gym, if you're on the treadmill and you can only go for run for about 30 seconds, then over time, and when you break it down, you can go for two segments or to two sessions of 30 seconds. And if you sprint through those, then that'll help you with your endurance in the long run. And I know I've just given you guys two examples in the gym, but everything that you can apply to the gym can be applied to your mental health as well, right? So if you can only, you know, take somebody or somebody that you're having trouble communicating with, break it down into smaller times that you're talking to them. So if you feel like after a certain day that that's too long, only talk to this person for half the day. Or if half the day is too long, then break it down further, even to 2 minutes or to an hour. But you have to start somewhere. And when you break it down, these challenges don't seem as grim or as big as you make them out to be. And that's another thing, too. When you start to put all of your mental energy to really see these things at a high pedestal or that they're so big and grand, you won't have the motivation to go tackle it because you'll see or you'll think to seem that these things that you're trying to tackle are impossible or they're going to take a really long time in order to achieve, which is kind of negating your progress in the beginning because you're not doing it with a sense of I can do this. You're doing it in a sense of, I have to do this or this is really daunting. So that's why I really like to say it that way as well, to break it down because it's so important as well. We got Christopher Rouse right here. Make sure you go check out Christopher Rouse's show. He has a show as well, Raw and Unscripted, and he's also the No Excuses coach. So if you think that you're going to come in here with some excuses, number one, I'm not going to allow that. But number two, Chris is really not going to allow that. So make sure you are talking to him as well. And here it is. Proud of you, my friend. Thank you. I'm proud of you as well. And he says challenges are opportunities. It's you guys are dropping the golden nuggets here because this is something that I have scheduled later to talk about. And that's so funny, right? Because it is funny. Lou just mentioned breaking it down little by little, and that's what we just talked about. Chris is talking about reframing it as opportunities, and that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So you guys are really on point today. I'm loving it. And thank you so much all for being here right now. And it's just so interesting to know that you guys are on the right path and you guys are really taking some notes here on Weekly Dose of Dano. And I appreciate that because all of this is meant for us, all of us, in order to get to that next level or to that next step, or in order to learn what it takes to achieve happiness and peace every single day. So all right, these are my two tips for you, but I'm going to give you some strategies and how to implement these tips that I have for you guys. So number one, you need to make sure that you are tracking your small wins. In parentheses here, I put recognizing your wins. All of the things that you do in your life is a win. And you have to see it that way in order to recognize when something is a win. Being able to brush your teeth in the morning or at night or every other day, whatever times that you guys decide to brush your teeth, that is a win, right? Well, why is it a win? Well, you have running water in order to be able to, do that task. You have bought yourself a toothbrush and you've had the financial capacity in order to buy some toothpaste, right? Number three, you have the mental well-being in order to be able to do that on your own. Number four, you have the physical capability in order to carry out this task, right? And I use something as small, and it's not really small, but I use something as simple as brushing your teeth to understand that you have to recognize that is a win every single day. The number one win that we don't recognize and we don't give enough attention to every single day is waking up and being here and going about your day, right? Think about, and I don't like to use this because we shouldn't base ourselves on what people can't do, but think about how many people have not had the luxury of waking up this morning in order to live about their days and, to carry out all of their hopes and their dreams. So, like I said, I don't really like to focus on the negative side of things, but that is, if you need to use that as extra motivation to understand what a win truly is, then do what you have to do to label everything as a win. And as Chris said as well, an opportunity in your lifetime is a win because if you extract more information to learn about yourself and to learn about other people and to see where you are in your path, or if you want to use that as a benchmark to see how far you've come from the person that you were maybe a few months ago, all of these things are opportunities and wins to learn further and to really enjoy life and really to just be grateful for everything that you have in this world. So Yeah, so that's my first strategy. My second strategy for you guys when it comes to taking action to improve your mood is here. You need to understand that consistency is better than perfection. I don't care if you go out there and you do something for 5 minutes and it can be the worst thing and the worst performance that you've ever had in this world, or ever that in your existence. But if you're going out there, you need to recognize that that little bit that you invested into yourself and that action that you did take, that's so much better than being, the perfect person. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect person, but actually waiting until the perfect circumstances come about in order for you to take that action, right? Like I said, when it comes to consistency, that'll beat out any other trait in this world. I know it can, I mean, consistency is the hardest thing, or one of the hardest things to do in this world, I think, because you have to constantly show up for yourself. You have to show up for other people, and you have to take this motivation and you have to take this strategy and do it over the course of months, of weeks, for years. It doesn't matter. There's really no end to it. So that's why consistency is so important. And like I mentioned before, when you have that consistency, you can see where you can improve on in your mental world, in your physical world, in your spiritual world. All these things are providing you opportunities to get you further along in your path of peace and love and acceptance and all of those great things as well. So okay. Well, we got the 7-3. All right, we'll take a field goal. I mean, we need to get on and we need to score, but thank you for that update as well. They need to get you in the building, Dano, for sure, for sure. Like I said, if the coach is watching out there and you need the Eagles to get an extra mental boost in their locker room, please let me know. We'll make that happen. I love you too, my guy. I appreciate that. And that's another thing too that not a lot of people get to say as well, or we're not open and sharing that love with one another as well, especially with men, right? Because we all think that, we got to be a certain way. And like, nah, we don't do that over here. But thank you for saying that. Love you too, my guy. And he says, great minds think alike. Oh, for sure. And that's why we've had you on the show here a few times, because you know what it truly takes and have experienced and done the work in order to be at that baseline and that consistent mood of happiness, peace, love, and joy. So, yeah, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And that is all that we had again for the second segment. And just in case you missed it, this is what we talked about. We're talking, oh, wait, that's the third one. That's not the second one. Here's the second one. Taking action to improve mood. Again, you can't wait until you feel that perfect mood in order to take that action. Because if we're just constantly at that negative mood, or if we're bedridden, or if we're just constantly running away from the things that we need to do, then we'll stay at that mood forever. And then we'll never take the action that we need to take in order to do it. So make sure that you understand it's backwards, or flip it around. As you start to take more action, you'll feel more confidence, you'll feel higher motivation, and it'll make taking action even easier because you have that motivation. So make sure that is a big distinction that I wanted to share with you guys as well, which, some people get it backwards, but just in case you didn't, taking action improves our moods as well. So we're going to hear a word from our second sponsor for today. And just in case you are curious about what the third segment is, I know I flashed it on the screen temporarily, but here it is, just in case you're wondering. The third segment we're going to be talking about is building self-acceptance, which is so easy to kind of get down on ourselves. And this is really hard to do if you're not aware of what self-acceptance looks like, or if you don't have the tips and the strategies to do it. But when we come back from our second sponsor, we're going to dive deeper into what it means to building self-acceptance. So we'll be right back after a word from It Takes a Village Housing, which is our second sponsor here on Weekly Dose of Dano TV.
Takes a village about keeping our families together.
God bless this organization.
So everybody, that was It Takes a Village Housing. Thank you to It Takes a Village Housing for sponsoring Weekly Dose of Dano TV. And also I had to throw in that Thanksgiving commercial in there because I love Thanksgiving. To be honest, I like Thanksgiving a lot more than Halloween for two reasons. Number one, obviously you get to eat all the food that you want. And it's always good food because everybody, puts their heart and their soul into making the food. And then number two, I just love the fact that my family, this is a big holiday for us because we always come together and we get to play, the Nintendo Switch and come together and just bond and really give each other that love and appreciation that we have throughout the year for each other. But we get to celebrate it all together. So, I know, Josh, if you're watching, you better be ready for another rematch of Mario Tennis. And yeah, but that's besides the point. So thank you again for everybody for being here. And let's talk about our third segment is to how to build self-acceptance. Now, self-acceptance doesn't always have to be that lovey-dovey, like hugging and kissing yourself and saying like, oh, everything's going to be all right. You kind of have to, again, start small to say like, okay, I am where I am and that's okay. And when you accept all the things that have happened into your life in the past, then that's a great place to start because you won't feel guilty about the things that happened. You won't feel, resentment towards yourself for not doing certain actions. Just finally, just be okay with where you are right now. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be the biggest step in the world, but it's definitely important if we do want to live brighter and enjoy living on this earth at the time that we're living at right now. So my first tip to you guys is to reframe failures as learning opportunities. And this is where I was just talking about. See, I told you, Chris. He says challenges are opportunities. And what did I tell you? Reframe failures as learning opportunities. Yes. When we understand that we are going through these things that happen to us in life, whether they're good or they're bad, even that label is not really accurate, right? Because nothing is really good or bad. It is what it is, but we give it that meaning. But anyway, to keep it simple, when we understand that these things and events are happening in our lives to teach us more about ourselves, we can embrace these challenges or these opportunities in such more of an inviting way. Because if we understand, if we're going through life, let's take it the opposite way, right? If we're not understanding why these things are happening to us, if we're not learning more about ourselves along the way, then we're doomed to repeat these cycles over and over and over again until we get it right. And I think that's kind of taking it just a little bit deeper. I think that's kind of like a karmic lesson to life and why we are truly here to learn more about ourselves and more about our souls. And if we feel as though we're not getting it right, or life feels as though that we're not understanding the lessons that we need to get while we're here, then they're just going to constantly repeat and repeat and repeat. Some people believe, depending on what you believe in, but some people believe that we will continue to come back here on this earth for many lifetimes until we get it right. I'm not saying that I necessarily believe that, but it is a thing that people do believe in as well. So I just wanted to bring that out there to you guys to make sure you are reframing these failures. See how I put the quotes around failures as opportunities. The second tip I want to give for you guys is practice self-compassion. And I put parentheses here, friend's perspective. So I remember when I used to do the on the street segments, there was a question that I asked to this one individual, and it was something along the lines like this. If you had a friend that talked to you the same way that you talk to yourself in your head, how long would you keep that friend around for? And most of the time, obviously, if the friend is not talking to you in a kind and loving way, you're going to cut that person out immediately. And there might be some other things that go along with that, like cursing them out and just cutting them off completely. But that's okay. So why is it that if you had a friend that was talking to you that way, you would do that to them? But when it comes to our own thoughts, we're not willing to keep up that same standard and that same practices for ourselves. It doesn't make sense. And when we say these things out loud and when we write them down, we can truly look at it from an objective point of view. And 99% of the time, we'll understand that the things that we are saying are absolutely ludicrous and they're just so wrong and not factual. So that's why it's so important that we need to understand about that friend's perspective, right? Understand that the things that we are going on in our heads, that when we take that thought and we are examining it, we can see that the thing that's fueling these thoughts don't even come from a place of truth. So why would we even pay attention to those in the beginning? And when it comes to self-compassion, just give yourself a little bit of grace, right? Because the same thing, if you had a friend that's going through their lives and they're making mistakes along the way, and they're not doing the things that are up to their standards, you'll probably give them the same advice. Like, yo, just keep going. It's all right. You're not dead. You're not in jail. You're not, the world's not ending. It's okay. So just because you would do it for another friend doesn't mean that that same advice that you would give to them is excluded from yourself. You are worthy and you are deserving of that same self-compassion that you give to other people along the way. So those are my 2 tips, but you already know we got to give you the strategies in order to actually implement this stuff, because it's nice to sit here and say all of these things, but my goal is for you guys to actually implement this right away. Because I can sit here and talk until I'm blue in the face, and yeah, it's nice, but I don't feel as though I would be serving my purpose of actually giving you actionable strategies if I didn't include this in there as well. So here it is. Strategy number 1, identify and celebrate your strengths. I do not care who you are in this world. I don't care if you think that you're the most worthless person to ever live or to ever exist. That is false. Everybody has strengths and everybody is an expert in a topic, right? I am not an expert on how to do farming, but obviously there are farmers that are out there that would give me the guidance and the peace and the advice to run a great farm. There are probably out there people that know how to do lighting in the professional sense. Or let's say if you want to design a house and you need people that know how to, interior designers. Everybody's good at something, but you need to identify what your strengths are. Some people understand how to talk correctly and they can use that as a way to influence others. Other people, they know how to build with their hands. That can be a strength for them. Other people know how to work with numbers, right? There is strength. You do have a strength, but you probably are out there thinking of all the reasons of why you're not doing this thing. But as I said, when we say those things out loud and when we catch them, we understand that that's not true, because once you identify what your strength is, you can really start to cultivate and really develop your passion about what your strength, what you're, strong about and what your strengths are. So celebrate them too. Don't ever diminish it to say like, oh, well, everybody can do what I do. That's so not true, because like I said, I present my information in the way that I know to be true and fun and effective and exciting. But just because that I do it in my way doesn't mean that you can't reach more people or the same amount of people in the same way that you do it. So don't ever undermine yourself. And I know when it comes to celebrating the strengths, we can think of so many reasons why we're not doing this thing or we're not strong in this area. But as we understand, when it comes to the truth, we can have so many more reasons to support that strength. And that's what we really need to focus on in our lives as well. Strategy number 2, we need to commit to self-care routines 1000%. This can be in the physical sense, like going out there and getting massages. You can improve on your diet, right? If you notice that you're eating too much sugar and you want to cut out the sugar that's happening in your life that you're consuming, that can be an improvement in your self-care routine. I know when it comes to the mental routine or the spiritual routine, we talk about it all the time, every single week on the Weekly Dose of Dano TV, but that strategy is meditation. It can be, walking with a friend or walking in the park. There's so many things that you can do in order to improve your mood, but you need to write down and find what you find exciting when you see these things pop up on your schedule. You're like, damn, I get to go to the gym today and today's chest day. Like, yeah, that sounds like a good time to me. Or, I get to meditate at 5 o'clock today. That sounds like a great time to me. Please make sure that you are committing to that self-care routine, because these are the things that, number 1, will boost our motivation to take even further action on the things that we find fun or even on the things that we don't find fun. And then number 2, it just gives you something, forward to look to every single day. And now we're going to talk about our 4th segment for today. And like I said, maybe you're just tuning in or you're watching or on the replay. That was the 3rd segment for today, and it was about how to build self-acceptance. And finally, on our last segment today, it's about daily mood boosting techniques. So the first one, and notice here, the most important word right here is this word right here, daily. If you do something once a month, you're not going to become very proficient at it unless you're super gifted at it. But if you're super gifted at working on your mental moods, obviously you're working on it because you're not proficient at it anyway. So that's why you need to do it on the daily. And that's why this word is so important right here, that you do this on a daily basis. And I'm not saying in the very beginning that you have to do it at the same exact time, at the same capacity at every single day. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to do it, at least try to attempt it every single day. Now, when you go to do that technique, whether it's at 100% or 30%, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you want to go invest in yourself and to practice that daily technique. And that is what's going to get you to that sense of consistency and ultimately boosting your mood no matter what. And I know I've been equating a lot of things to the gym, but it's going to be the same principle here. If you were to go to the gym daily, there's going to be some days where them 50 pounds, they feel like, wow, these feel like 20-pound dumbbell weights in my hand. But other days, those same 50-pound dumbbells, they're going to feel like 100 pounds. You're like, damn, why do these feel so heavy today? But ultimately, the point is that you're there, you're improving your physical self, and it's the same principle that can be applied to your spiritual self and your mental self as well. So my first tip for you guys today is to embrace your gratitude journaling. I know it's so, I know even if you were to talk to me about writing, like probably like last year, I knew all of the benefits that were associated with writing and with journaling. But I would still tell you, like, listen, I don't have time for that. That's not something that I'm interested in doing right now. But I was so wrong. Like I couldn't have been so, I could have been just so wrong from the truth. Right. I'm so happy that I was able to practice that writing because look, number one, we were able to become published in the My Good Juju book right here. So again, I'll drop the link later on or on the replay as well, so you can get your copy. But all the great things that are coming from this wouldn't happen had I not practiced that writing portion for myself. And I know, like I said, at first, if you were to tell me, I'd be like, yo, get away from me with all that writing nonsense and that crap. But it's so essential and so important. And it's one of the best ways that you can do in order to boost your mood every single day. The second tip I want to give to you guys is to practice mindful breathing, or if you want to do, like I say, meditation. That's so true. That's the best thing. My favorite tip to give to you guys has always been meditation, and probably will forever be meditation as well. When you go in and you start to silence those thoughts in your mind, number one, you provide a reset in your energy. So if you're just at a negative space in your mind, or that you're going about your day or something happens, it automatically cancels whatever negative energy you've been brewing up at that situation. But number two, what I really love about it is you get to practice looking at the thoughts that come into your head. I want to share this with you guys as well, because I shared it earlier in the episode, but this is so fire and I had no idea this was it. And I just want to accentuate this point. So let's say the reason that I love meditating so much is because of this. Right here, according to the research, the average person has approximately 60,000 thoughts per day. But what is truly concerning is that 75% of these thoughts are negative and 95% are repetitive. So if once you, I promise you, once you meditate, you'll start to see out of these 60,000 thoughts, we'll start to see the things that are starting to pop up in our head. And obviously, if 75% of these thoughts are negative, we'll start to become conscious and aware of the negative thoughts that are popping up into our head. So we'll understand, number one, that those thoughts are not true. They don't hold any degree of truth to them. And number two, we can substitute those negative thoughts, not at that moment because you're going to be meditating, right? But after your meditation, you can substitute those thoughts with positive reinforcements and positive thoughts to replace and to counteract the negative thoughts as well. So meditation, please, if there's one thing that you get from anything here that we talk about on Weekly Dose of Dano TV, it's the power of meditation. And I will talk about that until I'm blue into the face and until the day that I transition into the next world as well. Please practice your meditation, no matter what it is. You don't have to start, and it's not always two things. You don't have to start at the 30-minute interval or the 25-minute interval that most people do. You can start with 5 minutes with just practicing that mindful breathing. And that's why I didn't write meditation here necessarily. That's why I said mindful breathing. So please, again, start with 5 minutes, see how you go from there. You're going to love, I promise you, you're going to love it so much that you're going to want to go more and deeper. But that's the first thing. And then number two, it just becomes just that sense of hitting the reset button every day. and your mood just improves drastically, and you'll start to see through the facade of everything that happens in our life as well. So, like I said, and practice your gratitude journaling. And number two, practice your mindful breathing. Finally, when it comes to our daily mood boosting techniques, here's the strategy that I have to give to you guys. Like I said, plan for fun earlier. Set some things along your day that you can look forward to and get excited about, right? If you find that in the middle of the day that you start to have that 2 a.m. or sorry, that 2 p.m. crash or that afternoon crash, well, that might be the time that you want to go and plan for your cup of coffee, because I know when people like to drink coffee all the time, and they love to go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or wherever you decide to go. That's fun to them, right? And it could be something, even if you only drink one cup of coffee a day, and that's at the very beginning of the day, you can go and plan for shopping and looking for things that you can do to buy for yourself. And let me be clear, I'm not saying that buying things is going to automatically necessarily improve your mood, but if that's the next best thing that you can do, buying something for yourself and shopping, that's way better than feeling at that level of negativity and anger. So obviously, if that's the higher of the two emotions and the feelings, you're going to go with that one. But always plan and make sure you're setting the intention to have some fun in your day. And then number two is to schedule worry time. If you feel as though that the things that are happening in your life are just all too real, and that you think that they have so much truth to them, limit it to a certain window that you have in a day, right? Only spend like 10 minutes about setting worrying time for yourself. I can promise you that number one, when you go and you do have this time that you schedule about worrying about things, I'm, I'm not saying that you can do it all the time, but like I said, when you have this time to only do it for a certain amount of day, you'll see that the things that come up, number one, are not true, that you're only thinking that they're true. But if that's a thought, then we know that our thoughts are not true. So we can start to break it down and reconstruct it into a positive way. And then number two, you can kind of have that sense of release in order to release the negative things that you're thinking about through that day. And it's funny because I saw the other day that there was a something called a rage room, where people go in and they have a bat, and they'll have like a TV or like a toilet or a table or a desk, and they go in and they smash everything, which is, it's funny, but it's great because they find something that they can do in order to release that tension and that negativity as well. So if you need to schedule that worry time in order to release that, then go ahead and do it as well. So everybody, that was the episode for today. And again, if you missed it, here's what you can watch on the replay. And to be excited about, here's what we talked about tonight. We talked about reframing our thoughts, taking action to improve mood, building self-acceptance, and mood boosting techniques. So everybody, just to let you know, Lou says his Facebook will acting up. Well, thank you for watching on YouTube. We appreciate that as well. But just to let you know, in 2 weeks, let me take this out and take the banner out. In 2 weeks, it is Thanksgiving, so we will not be having a show. But next week, we're on and we are live, and we will be here for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. So if you are here watching live or on the replay, we appreciate you so much, and we hope that you are going out there into the weekend and you're actually practicing being that happiest version of yourself, and that you can go out and inspire others along the way as well. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you so much for being here. And I'll see you next week for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Love you guys. I'll see you next week.